Hey, Kurt Helin from Pro Basketball Talk and NBCSports.com is here now. And Kurt, good to see you, man. I am going to spare you. Unlike what I did last night, I was telling Michael Holly earlier that I wasted my precious time, our most valuable resource, our time. I wasted my precious time watching a Lakers team that looked like it had better things to do anyway. So I'm not going to waste much of your time, if I could help it, asking you about bad teams like the Lakers, okay? Let's talk about teams that are actually going places. And I'm going to start, honestly, with a team that we don't talk about enough because we feel like we know how the movie's going to end in the postseason. And that's the Utah Jazz, which won their 8th and 9 games yesterday over the Michael Holly's Phoenix Suns, minus Chris Paul, but nonetheless, still the best team in basketball. Should we believe, is it still too soon, or do you have to believe it to see it? Or, as Patrick Mahomes would say, I'll see it when I believe it. Should we believe that the Jazz will be any different come playoff time, that they could actually take this momentum and transfer it into the postseason and go deeper than we've seen them go the last couple of years?
I think they can, but I'm from Missouri on this one. They got to show me. I've been there. I've been down this road. I've believed in them, and I've been let down. And I'm not alone. I wasn't the only person who thought that this team has the roster to make a real run, only to watch them not make that kind of run, not live up to the potential. And the injuries have been part of it, and they were certainly really banged up last year, and that was an issue. This has got to be the year. I still keep hearing around the league, look, you don't bring in Danny Ainge. Like a new owner brings in Danny Ainge on top of basketball operations. That's not a we're standing pat move. He's a gunslinger, so they're going to be doing something if this doesn't run right this year. And I think that they feel that pressure. But they're also a good team. I think they're one of those teams where, look, they don't have the margin for error that Phoenix does when Chris Paul is healthy, or a healthy Golden State does. But I think they're the third best team. And I think they're one of those teams where if things break a little right for them, they play good defense. They've got shooting. If Bogdanovich is playing well and hot, and you get some good nights out of Clarkson and he's not too exposed in a playoff series, and Donovan Mitchell plays like he did last year on one leg, on two legs. I think they can be that good, but I still don't know that their peak is as high as Phoenix or Golden State. So I kind of got a feeling it's going to be disappointing. And then welcome to the Danny Ainge show, man.
Yeah, Michael, I just don't want to make the mistake again of sleeping on the Jazz.
Yeah.
Trying not to do that again.
Yeah, I know we did it last year. And, Kurt, you mentioned a team that I've been curious about, and maybe this is not the right time to bring up the Warriors after they blow a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter to Dallas. But I look at them and I feel like, wow, out of all the teams in the West, and I love Phoenix, but they've got 2 extra boosts. Okay, one, the Klay Thompson booster, which is still kicking in right now. And then I said this to Mike a couple of weeks ago. We never got a chance to talk about it. Kuminga, I mean, my goodness, this guy is starting to, you can see it. You can see him starting to figure it out. He's coming on strong. Do you believe that the Warriors, if you just had to call it right now, are the Warriors, all things considered, the best team in the West?
You know what booster you forgot? They get Draymond Green back. He's pretty good.
They're 10 and 12. I mean, they're 10 and 12 since he went down.
Yeah, exactly. Their defense isn't the same. They were the number 1 defense in the league. He was on pace to be defensive player of the year, part because he quarterbacks that whole thing, right? He's getting guys in position. He's organizing it. He's so vocal on that end. It drives it. So they get that back. By the way, I fell in love with Kuminga back at Summer League when you just, again, that's a glorified pickup game, but you could see the athleticism and they're like, man, if he can start to figure it out. And I think a couple people, including a scout I know, made a Kawhi Leonard reference with him, that all the physical tools are there. But remember, Kawhi comes into San Antonio, and he doesn't have to be the man. They obviously, Parker and Ginobili and Duncan, this is peak Spurs that he comes into. So Pop can bring him on a little more slowly and mold him into the guy that, becomes the All-NBA player and the Finals MVP. I don't know that Kuminga – that's a heck of a ceiling. I'm not going to put that on Kuminga, but it's the same type of situation. He gets to come in with all this athleticism and learn. And he was talking about it in, I talked to him in Cleveland at All-Star. He was saying, man, I love being behind Curry, and I'm just trying to soak up, and Thompson, all these guys, I'm trying to soak up everything I can from these guys and listen to them because they have so much knowledge. He could be really special in a couple of years. I don't know how much you're going to get out of him this year, except for a couple of real nice highlight dunks in the playoffs. But a couple of years from now, like that team could really transition into something. And I'm with you, by the way. I still think, all things being equal, their ceiling is a little higher than Phoenix's ceiling. Just because I've seen Curry and Thompson and Draymond do it, I don't know if they're going to get there. Curry's not completely out of that shooting slump, guys. He's had some good games, but he's a little up and down right now.
Yeah, I still defer to Phoenix. But in the West, though, staying in the West, let's talk about the team that beat him. I mean, look, Luka Doncic just wrapped up, or is wrapping up, calendar month statistically that only Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook have enjoyed, which is 34 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists for a calendar month. We've been waiting on Luka for a few years now. So I'll ask you something of a two-part question for Luka and for the Mavericks, now that they've kind of like retooled a little bit. Is Luka playing his way into your MVP top 5? We know who 3 of them are, presumably. Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, and the other 2 are probably, you're still figuring that out. Is Luka playing his way into your MVP top 5? And is this the year that Dallas goes a little bit deeper in the postseason? Or deep at all?
The first part of that is on my list right now. I have it exactly like that. There's a top 3 with, like you said, Embiid, Antetokounmpo, and Jokic in whatever order they end up being, and they're going to be on the ballot. And then it's Curry and DeRozan, and Doncic is in that mix now. Chris Paul was, and boy, I'll say this: watching the end of that game against Utah, you felt how much they need Chris Paul, right? How much he is glue at the end of games for them, and it keeps them from making these Jay Crowder turnovers, right? That said, he's going to be in the mix. That slow start is really going to be kind of hard to overcome, but he wouldn't be the first guy to overcome it and still get on the ballot. It's distinctly possible. He has been nothing short of brilliant. Is it just me, guys? They still need one more. They thought Porzingis was going to be the number 2. He's not that guy. I think they're capable of winning a first round series just because Doncic is capable of beating anybody on any given weekend. I'm always going to root for a Clippers Maverick series because, man, those have been fun. I don't know if we're going to get it this year, but I don't know that they can go much beyond. They can make an upset in the first round, but I don't think they go anywhere beyond that, only because I just don't think they have the depth on that roster yet. They've got to go find that number 2, whoever that ends up being.
Well, the reigning MVP looks like he's about to get his 2 and 3 back pretty soon in Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. How much are the Nuggets a sleeping giant in the Western Conference, especially the way Jokic is playing? What did he take 5 shots yesterday and he won by 32?
Yeah. Did you see that cross-court pass and he just whipped over his shoulder into the far corner? He sees and makes passes that are just otherworldly, doesn't he? It's insane. Yes, they're there, but I think they're falling into my Utah. Things have kind of got to break right for them, mostly because what are we getting out of Murray and Porter? Is it 85%, 90%, 70%? I don't know where they are. If it's 85, 90, now that's a dangerous team. I mean, I was among the people who might have picked them a couple years ago before Murray tore the ACL. I mean, once they got Aaron Gordon, that offense was explosive, and they were defending well, and so Jokic has become a better defender since then. Everything kind of clicks with them. That is a really well-built roster when it's healthy. We've all seen guys come back from ACLs, right? And you're like, there's physically coming back, and then there's mentally coming back and really trusting it and being able to kind of not think about it and push off and be the same player. I don't know how long it's going to take Murray to get there and be the same explosive guy. How much is Porter going to be tender? How careful is he going to be with his back? He's reportedly pain-free, but that said, on paper, they're right there with anybody. I'm just not sure they're going to be able to live up to that this year. Next year is going to be interesting in the West. If the Clippers get their guys back and the Nuggets are healthy, it's suddenly a really deep conference again.
That's so funny. You said that. I totally forgot about the Clippers guys. I forgot about Paul George. This is how short-sighted we are. I forgot about Paul George. Forgot about Kawhi Leonard. That's right. They're still Clippers. So you're right. I want to ask you about this. And there's something to be said for being there. When you're talking about a story, and you're a journalist and you're a storyteller, being there, it just brings out different thoughts, different ideas. And I know you were in Cleveland for an All-Star celebration, but also the 75th anniversary team. And just seeing some of the clips of Michael Jordan talking trash to Magic Johnson, put your shoes on right now, let's go to the court. And Kevin Garnett and Shaq, and seeing all those guys. Was there a particular scene or a particular thought when seeing that whole collection of players that just made you think of some things or view things differently? Just love to know your observations about them.
It was so much fun to see all of them in one place, and they genuinely seemed to enjoy being there. Even Michael Jordan, the famously competitive Jordan, was hugging the guys and doing all this. And I think you saw it all weekend long. A number of the legends were staying, and the 75th anniversary team were in the same hotel as the media. And, they were hanging out in the lobby and talking and reminiscing, and just, you could see how much fun they were having going back down memory lane with this and just getting to see old friends. And it was really enjoyable to watch them have that experience. By the way, I'll give you the one insider, like maybe my favorite little quiet experience of the weekend. They do a media hospitality after the game where there's just some food and beer and wine for media members. George Gervin walks up in his 75th, blazer. And they're like, the security guard's like, I'm sorry, you can't come in. You don't have a media credential. We're about six of us were like, no. George Gervin can go anywhere George Gervin wants to go.
He's good.
He's good to go.
He's with us.
Yeah, exactly. We'll vouch.
Right. No, that's dope. And listen, you can remind him of that for a long time to come. We were talking about the
Imagine not knowing who the Iceman is. How do you not know who the Iceman is? Come on.
That person must have been really young or not in touch with the event that they were securing. We were talking about the Sixers earlier. I'll ask you like this, Kurt. Have you seen enough in 2 games from this Embiid-Harden tandem to believe that not only will it work, but to believe that they are the new favorite in the Eastern Conference? Much as I love Milwaukee and their championship pedigree, much as I love what Chicago's done in the regular season, much as I love Miami's culture, and as much as I'm in love with the what-ifs and the possibilities around Brooklyn, watching Harden and Embiid play like they've been playing together forever and parade to the line, I got a hard time thinking anybody's beating Philadelphia if they're healthy. And they actually figure it out. They still figured it out.
Yeah. I don't want to get overhyped on this after 2 games, especially,
No, get overhyped. No, Kurt, get overhyped.
And I was about to say, having said that, I look around the East and said the exact same thing. Who's better than them right now? Like, honestly, I mean, I can poke at holes and let's see how the defense holds up under better pressure and all. Who's better than them right now? Milwaukee's a 500 team since the first part of the year. And they'll probably bring it together because championship pedigree, they've been banged up, what have you. I still think they'll be there. Miami is Miami, and I think they're better built for the playoffs. But nobody has looked as explosive as Philadelphia. And while I've got concerns about their defense with Harden out there, they get to start Matisse Thybulle. You've still got Joel Embiid backing the whole thing up. I still think their defense is going to be good enough, and they can bring some guys. I watched them for 2 games, and I thought the exact same thing. I don't know who's beating them in the East because there isn't a Phoenix in the East, right? There isn't a team where you're like, that's the bar. If we're going somewhere, we got to be better than these guys. I don't know who that is in the East, and Philadelphia, by the time we get to the start of the playoffs, might be that team. They might be the bar. They might look like the best team because they certainly have the last couple of games. There's better tests coming up, but I mean, come on, guys. By the way, 176 points for Maxey, Harden, and Embiid combined for 176 points in 2 games.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So look, fellas, there's no Phoenix in the East. You're right, Kurt. But the East has a bunch of Memphis Grizzlies and Utah Jazz types, including Philadelphia. Now, you got Harden and Embiid, but okay, we've seen some duos. We've seen some duos in the East. Durant and Kyrie is a formidable duo. Giannis and Middleton, formidable. I mean, Jimmy Butler games. Jimmy Butler and Adebayo, and our guy coming off the bench, Hero. I mean, so it's not like Philadelphia is so much better. They're improved from where they were. They've gotten a lot better from Embiid and a bunch of guys, but I'm not sure I'm with you guys where I just see them going above the pack.
Pardon the hyperbole, okay? I'm not saying that one of these guys is the other guy. This is LeBron and Anthony Davis. That's what this group is to me. Like, forget about the parts around the Lakers in the bubble, or forget about the parts around these Sixers. As a duo, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better twosome than the possible, if not likely, MVP and a guy that, when he's engaged, is in the MVP conversation. Like,
wait a minute, didn't
find
you say,
somebody better than those two.
But didn't you tell me you think Kevin Durant's the best player in basketball, right?
Yes. When he's playing, yeah.
All right. So Kevin Durant's coming back next week, so we heard. So they say. A lot of people say it, though.
Right.
Kevin Durant coming back next week, and Kyrie. Okay.
Right.
Is that not
Brooklyn could be interesting.
You'd be hard-pressed about,
that's
not a better duo?
That's not. You could argue that it's on par, Kurt, but I'm saying you got Joel Embiid, who's a force unlike few others in the NBA right now, and you get a James Harden that's putting up a triple-double and giving them an element that they didn't have from their point guard position when they were competing for the East with Ben Simmons. I just think those two elevate them in the same. That's why I invoked Michael, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. Remember, if the Lakers had them healthy, whole different conversation, at least for the last few years. This year, not so much. That's how I see it, Kurt, with like those two guys in particular, given their peak. I don't know that anybody can see those two, not to say nothing of the pieces around them.
Yeah, by the way, my problem with Brooklyn right now is that they're not getting out of the play-in. By the time they get everybody healthy and back rolling, they're just not going to be able to catch up to Boston at the 6th seed or whatever. Now they get through the play-in, but now, man, you're on the road against Miami or somebody good in the first round. Like, it's just a long
at home, maybe
road
without Kyrie.
Yeah. It's a long road through, so I'm not totally buying that. That's where I come back to. I think Philadelphia has a real shot, and like I said, they've meshed better. I like the idea of LeBron and AD in the sense that like their games, just peanut butter and jelly, right? They just went right together. I wasn't sure that was going to be the case here, but
me too.
They're up there running. Like, hey. Harden's setting the picks, and they're running some like that pin down Chicago style dribble handoff stuff. They're running stuff that both of them are working on. And when both of those guys are going downhill to the rim, they're as good as anybody in the league because they're both so physically strong. They're gonna draw fouls. It might not be bet the over on free throws in their playoff games, but
they go off the line 40 times.
It's a lot of TV timeouts for ABC, but. I don't know how you stop them. I think that team's defense, that team, the way they are rolling, I think they just, I don't want to say crush people, but I don't know how you slow that combo down. And especially if Maxi's knocking down shots and Tobias Harris gets comfortable and Matisse Thybulle's never going to knock down shots, but you could see in the last game, he's starting to figure out when he can cut and get to the rim. So like, as they start to piece together this whole thing, they're going to be explosive offensively, and if they're just good enough defensively, that might be it.
Well, I feel a lot better. I was telling Michael how much I was losing sleep over the reservations that I had about how well they would fit offensively. You're infinitely smarter than me about basketball, Kurt Helin, so I appreciate knowing that I was not alone in my skepticism. Appreciate you making us better, man. Thank you so much for falling through.
Thank you, Kurt.
Anytime. I went on national radio multiple times and said Brooklyn won that trade, so I'm looking good right now.
All right. There's still time.
I agree.
We'll see what it looks like.
There's still time.
No, you're right, though. You're right. They did.
I think long-term and short-term could be different animals here. Then we'll see.
That might be it. That might be it. In a year, we can have a different conversation.
When you're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't want to be there, you're better when they're gone. Just from that angle, they're better. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.